What if there's more to reality than what we can see? The Bible speaks of angels, demons, and an unseen spiritual realm. What does that mean for us today? Thank you for joining me today as we explore the subject of the Divine Council. Hello, my name is Miles Black, and this is the first episode of my new show called Grace Concealed. I started this show as a way to dive into the topics that I personally find extremely fascinating and compelling, and I believe it's very important for everyone, especially Christians today, to be thinking about these topics that we're going to be covering. And I also want to start off by saying that I am not an expert. I don't have a degree in theology, but I am passionate about the topic of ancient technology, the unseen realm, our ancient past, and how it affects our present and our future. I think it's important for us, both me and you, to take this journey together, to always do your own research, just like I'm doing my own research. We can come to the same conclusion or we can come to different conclusions, but what's important is that we always go and search out the truth for ourselves. So with that being said, let's dive in to the Divine Council. All right, so just to dive into today's topic, I'm not sure. Let me just say, this is my first episode, so this is more of a trial run, seeing what works, what doesn't work, how I want to edit and kind of curate these episodes. I'm not sure how much time I'll be able to put into post, so I'm going to assume, as a busy husband and father, that I'm not going to have as much time as I hope, and this is probably going to be more like a podcast format for the chunk of the content, but I'll try to keep it kind of moving along and going off my notes to stay on topic because these are all topics that I'm passionate about, so sometimes I tend to ramble on, as my family can attest to. That's also another reason that I wanted to start this channel, is a bit of a creative outlet so that I can both organize and kind of flesh out my thoughts on different topics without boring my immediate family. So just to dive right in, let's, as I said before, today's topic is the Divine Council. I struggled with where to start this whole series. I think it's important to have a foundation when it comes to topics of ancient history, ancient technology, pre-flood civilizations, all that stuff. We need to have, as Christians, we need to have a solid foundation that is able to kind of be the glue that we can fit all these different pieces together. And when we step back, we're able to see God's plan through history and all of it. All right, and I did want to start us off with one verse from Scripture to start off with. It is 2 Corinthians 4:18. It starts I'm going to start in 17 at the beginning here. For this light momentary affliction is preparing for us an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison, as we look not to the things that are seen, but to the things that are unseen. For the things that are seen are transient, but the things that are unseen are eternal. So I think that sums up my desire for this topic pretty well. That what we see with our own eyes, what seems real and physical in front of us, isn't all that there is. There are many things that we see outside of that are just as real, if not more so. As Christians, we kind of take that for granted, I think, too much. We know that God is real, but we can't see him or touch him right now in this realm, but we say he's real. So when we look at other things, angels and demons and this spiritual warfare, we should look at it in the same light, that it's very real and it's happening around us, both in ways we can see and ways we can't see, all the time. And just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's not important, obviously. The next verse that I'd like to look at is Ephesians 6:12, talking about the armor of God. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. And then also Daniel 10:13 through 21. The prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days, but Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I was left there with the kings of Persia, and came to make you understand what is to happen to your people in the later days. For the vision is for days yet to come. When he had spoken to me according to these words, I turned my face toward the ground and was mute, and behold, one in the likeness of the children of man touched my lips. Then I opened my mouth and spoke, and I said to him who spoke before me, O my Lord, by reason of the vision pains have come upon me, and I retain no strength. How can my Lord's servant talk with my Lord? For now no strength remains in me, and no breath is left in me. Again, having the appearance of a man, touched me and strengthened me, and he said, O man greatly loved, fear not. Peace be with you, be strong and of good courage. And as he spoke to me, I was strengthened and said, Let my Lord speak, for you have strengthened me. And then he said, Do you not know why I have come to you? But now I will return to fight against the prince of Persia. And when I go out, behold, the prince of Greece will come. But I will tell you what is inscribed in the book of truth. There is none who contends by my side against these, except Michael, your prince. So that verse of Daniel, though at face value might seem mundane and not particularly of noteworthy importance, like a lot of other examples in Scripture that we'll be looking at going forward, the unseen concept is somewhat veiled. We don't get it at face value, which is, the main reason why myself, growing up in the church and being a Christian my whole adult life, I wasn't aware of, any of this spiritual warfare, the divine council concepts, to the degree that I am now. You get to certain verses like in Daniel there, where it just seems like, the angel comes to Daniel and is telling him these things, that he was fighting the prince of Persia and this and that. He was delayed. Well, it's an angel coming to Daniel saying that he was off at another physical place in the world, that he was delayed because he was in conflict and couldn't come to Daniel. We should take pause there and realize the gravity of what that's saying, that a spiritual being was in conflict, in this realm with, and again, Prince of Persia, not meaning the earthly prince, but the spiritual prince, and the principalities, the god that resided over Persia. So there's so much more, there's so much depth to certain aspects, or all Scripture really, when you just start digging a little bit. And the problem that so many Christians have today is that we tend to gloss over. We just read through our verse and think, well, that was nice, and we move on. Did I understand it? Well, sure, I know what the words mean. And we don't dive into it. We don't chip away at it and see, well, what does that mean? What does this mean? How does this apply to that? And that's what we need to do. That's what I hope to do with myself and you together. The next verse I'm going to read to you is one that I think really opened my eyes to the concept of the divine council, which once you see it here, it starts popping up all over Scripture. But here I'm going to read it, Psalm 82. God has taken his place in the divine council. In the midst of the gods, he holds judgment. How long will you judge unjustly and show partiality to the wicked? Give justice to the weak and the fatherless. Maintain the right of the afflicted and the destitute. Rescue the weak and needy. Deliver them from the hand of the wicked. They have neither knowledge nor understanding. They walk about in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are shaken. I said, you are gods, sons of the Most High, all of you. Nevertheless, like men, you shall die and fall like any prince. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for you shall inherit all the nations. So I think right there in that one chapter in Psalms says so much. Like I said, really opened my eyes to this whole concept, because right here you have, right at the beginning, God has taken his place in the divine council. Right there, it's showing that God is in the midst of a spiritual council. He has other beings there with him. And I think in the original Hebrew, it lists them both as Elohim. But that's not saying, because I know that this is where a lot of Christians stumble. They think, well, but there's only one God. No other gods except me. Well, yes, but it's not saying that there are no other gods, because right here it's saying that God has a divine council. The Hebrew word Elohim, means a God, lowercase God, a spiritual being of a certain level. God, the Father, Yahweh, sits as king above all other gods. So that's kind of the concept. And what I've gathered from other research and looking into this is this imagery of a courtroom, or maybe a royal courtroom, is the mental imagery, where you have God the Father and Christ at his right hand presiding over a courtroom of other beings who are arguing and deciding things among themselves. And there's another example too, where God poses a question to the council and says, I want this specific outcome. How will you do it? And they're arguing amongst themselves and trying to figure out what they'll do. And one finally comes forth and says, we'll do it this way. And God says, all right, that'll work. Go do it. So, we have this, God need a council to decide how to do things? Of course not. He can do whatever he wants. But he chooses to use the council to further his authority and his plan, both in the spiritual realm and in the physical realm. But also here in Psalm 82, he says at the end in verse 6, God speaking, I said, you are gods. Again, some sons of the Most High. So there we have sons of God. So where we see that elsewhere in Scripture, sons of God, that's spiritual members of the divine council. All of you, he says, you are all gods. You all have, I think he's saying you all have the capacity not for greatness. They don't want to, lift themselves up, because that's where they fell in Genesis 6. But he's saying that you're all gods. You can all work. You all have the capacity to do my will. Nevertheless, they are not perfect. They're not perfect gods. That's another concept that I kind of wrestled with before. They make mistakes. They're infallible. They, I don't know if saying that they sin is the correct term, but they have the capacity to, definitely, because we saw, again, right at the beginning of Scripture, Genesis 6, they fell, same as us. But to continue, nevertheless, like men, you shall die and fall like any prince. So again, there's there's our correlation back to Daniel with the Prince of Persia. Here we have in Psalms him calling the members of the divine council princes. So the Prince of Persia would be the member of the divine council that presides over the area of Persia. So like I said, once you start digging in and connecting the dots, so many things start making sense when you're looking from this perspective of this divine council. A lot of people call this the Psalm 82 worldview. It's taking this concept and kind of like lenses in a National Treasure, where he has those Benjamin Franklin not sunglasses, spectacles. Where you have the different lenses that you can flip in and out to see different things. That's kind of what we have with Scripture. We have a lens for different concepts. One of them is Psalm 82. So you flip that Psalm 82 lens down, and you're looking through Scripture, and you see all the things that correlate and connect with that concept. And just to finish up here at the very end of Psalm 82, it says, and this is the author speaking, Asaph, "Arise, O God, and judge the earth, for you shall inherit all the nations." And of course, that calls back that it's kind of a foreshadowing to Christ at the end of Matthew, where he says that all power and authority has been given to me. And we see that fulfilled in the New Testament. So I guess to wrap things up, as I'm sure I've been talking longer than I had originally anticipated or thought that I could, which is also what I anticipated. I guess going forward for my channel, since this is the first episode again, I want to lay some foundation work here with my first few videos to give us the correct perspective when looking at other things in our ancient past. To give you just kind of a taste, I want to dive into whether the ancient Middle East, ancient Egypt and the pyramids and the reason for their construction, and other areas. I have a special personal project concerning a certain site in Egypt that I'm very excited about. I'm still working on kind of constructing that whole idea. And the ancient Sumer, the pre-flood civilizations. There's so much in Turkey around the Lake Van area that's fascinating. So much. I mean, it's an endless treasure trove of information to look into. But I wanted to, before, when I wanted to start this show, I had no idea where to start because my brain goes all over the place and I have no idea what to focus on first. But I thought it's important that before we look into any of those other things, that as a Christian myself, that it's important that we have a foundation of Scripture. That if we have a solid understanding of God's plan throughout history, that when we look at different points of our history, we're able to see that plan and not get distracted, because there are lots of distractions out there, both on purposeful distractions and innocent ones. But it's important for us to have the foundation of Scripture that keeps us grounded in our faith, grounded in the truth, that we won't get distracted by the snares of the evil one, of darkness. So thank you for watching my first episode. Thank you for sticking with me this far and through my rambling and scattered thoughts. And I guess just to finish up, I want to pose you a question that, how is this the first time you've heard of the concept of a divine council? If so, has it changed your outlook on Scripture or history in general? If so, leave me a comment in the comment section below. Let me know. I'd love to start a conversation. You can either agree or disagree, and that's what I look forward to, is some discussion on these topics, so that we can all grow in our understanding of what is seen and what is unseen. So again, thank you so much for watching. If you would be so kind as to hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notification, so when my next video drops, hopefully next week, possibly a little bit later, but I'll try to stay consistent, But make sure you get those notifications turned on so that you get notified when I do post my next video. And you can follow me on social media, on X and Instagram at Glory Concealed. And I'll be posting updates there as well as other content related to these topics. And as Proverbs 25:2 says, it's the glory of God to conceal things, but it's the glory of kings to seek those things out. Thanks for watching.